So this is someone I haven't covered, I don't think, on Chud Watch before, but I've seen his videos a couple times. He made a video about Michael Jackson that I don't really agree with, but that's that's a story for another time. I don't know if I even want to get into my opinions on Michael Jackson on the internet, because that's such a divisive topic for some reason, which is so weird, considering if literally any other human being on the planet did what Michael Jackson did, no one would be questioning whether or not he was a pedo. But again, we're not talking about that today. What we're talking about is the election and the rageaholic, who, yes, he screams. It's what he does. His whole persona online, which, by the way, I'm going to count as Rant Sona, if you have that in your bingo card. Because even though he's not like a... How do I put this? Even though he's not a cartoon character on the screen, this is a character he's playing. No one is this angry all the time. He's just mad. He's just mad, and he's going to talk about the election. Razorfish. His thing is called the Rageaholic, but yes, Razorfish. Anyway, let's take a look.
Allow me to deactivate the Razorfist app for a moment.
Very nice filter he has over this, too. He has a vision for his videos, you know?
I'm concerned.
Wait, has the election been called? Who won? Let me go check. Hold on. Let's see, okay. Michigan's blue. Okay, Joe Biden won that by like 150,000 votes. Georgia's blue, even though it hasn't been called by AP. Arizona's blue. Nevada's blue. Pennsylvania's blue. Ah, yes, it appears Joe Biden, President-elect Joe Biden, has won the presidency, and Donald Trump, one-term impeached president, has lost. Interesting. Again, sorry, Jake, for stealing the joke. It's too funny. I gotta steal it.
I'm concerned. And I want to make clear as polished glass.
There's nothing funny about the tools of...
Dr. Gamble with 100 bits. Rage guy? Wait, turns headphones up. Okay, we're good. Proceed.
It's not because of Trump. It's really not.
Ron Howard voice. It was because of Trump.
Look, as many of you know, my candidate wasn't even originally my candidate. I mean, I'm more of a Goldwater Republican, ultimately, and so I was all over Rand Paul until he tanked his chances in the very first debate. So, look, this ain't about parochial team sports. Look,
it was.
I have been politically cognizant since the late 90s. I backed winners. I backed losers. I've endured the end of the Clinton administration and all its incumbent corruption. I weathered the W dog shit with its milquetoast quasi-conservatism and omnipresent warmongering. I watched John McCain, perhaps the only man I could have possibly despised more than Barack Obama, hurl himself at a young...
Goldwater is the most openly racist person to run for president in modern history. Yeah, it was.
Younger, more charismatic man with an actual movement, then blame him as vice president.
Can you say Southern strategy?
Presidential pick for his failure, despite the fact that she was responsible for the only 15-minute period where his campaign registered a fucking pulse. I wrote in Wyatt Earp in that election, by the by. And
that's pretty embarrassing, but okay.
We won't even go into the prick from the planet Kolob. I can deal with dog shit Republican losses, and when it happens, my ire is generally directly squared at my own side. That is how you grow, folks. That is how you improve and prosper. It's not that they're coming after my candidate.
The thing is, people like this guy, though, over the last 4 years and into, you know, earlier when we were having the run-up to the actual election in 2016, the campaign itself, they became really, really emotionally attached to Donald Trump for a variety of reasons. I'll never fully understand, but I think a lot of it had to do with the fact that he's such a brash, openly antagonistic individual who doesn't really care for decorum. And that kind of personality really appeals to people like this, the kind of person who's one to go on the internet and form an entire persona around being an angry asshole. So even though this guy didn't get behind Mitt Romney in 2012, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have an inherent emotional attachment to Donald Trump today. Because, honestly, It seems like Donald Trump is the perfect political candidate for someone like this. Someone who's attracted to just not effective, well thought out policy, but just angrily yelling into the air. You know what I mean? Like just, I'm so mad all the time. I'm just gonna yell about stuff I don't like. And that's literally what Donald Trump does. He just complains and screams and yells and, calls people names. And that's like a perfect candidate for someone like this. So he can say it's not about Donald Trump all he wants. I don't buy that shit for a single second.
It's that they're coming after my vote. I know you guys are expecting a finger flip and a chair spin after I predicted in a video less than 2 months out entitled Mail-in Ballots or BS that the Arizona Senate election...
There's nothing wrong with mail-in ballots. We've been doing mail-in ballots since after the Civil War. They're fine. And anyone who claims otherwise is lying to you because they want to block people's access to be able to vote.
The 2018 was in fact the dress
He's an Alex Jones fan. Color me shocked.
rehearsal for the nationwide fraud to come, in which Martha McSally was screwed out of an Arizona Senate seat, the first of what is now 2 titty fucking times, both by last-minute mail-in ballot shenanigans. And while
It's not shenanigans. Right-wing legislatures made sure that they couldn't start counting mail-in ballots until, after all the other ones. It was an intentional obfuscation to try and bolster their claims of fraud. They knew that this was coming, and they wanted it to appear, at the 11th hour, a bunch of Biden votes are coming in, when really that was orchestrated by the right in order to try and make it look like, this is weird, what's going on, when they knew all along exactly what was happening and it was their fault. Not buying that shit, bud.
I constantly repeated that all things being fair, Trump was cruising to a cataclysmic landslide victory.
If you thought that, you were an idiot. Even if Trump won, and bear in mind, it's close enough that it was entirely possible Trump was going to win, there was no version of reality where Donald Trump won in a landslide. If you thought a landslide was coming, you are living in a different dimension from the real world.
I always made sure to pair it with the phrase barring historic voter fraud, which in this case is not only possible, but also probable. I wasn't...
Based on what evidence? The guy you lost? That's evidence that there was fraud? You don't see how that's a problem?
Hedging my bets, folks. I did an entire video about it for a fucking reason. I am concerned because we are a society at bay and increasingly distrustful of our government, our institutions, even our fucking neighbors. We've been locked down for the better part of a damn year, denied our own jobs, future...
Because there's a pandemic. And because right-wing jackasses like you continually refuse to actually lock down. People like you, people like John Doyle, people like Jeremy who's going out to bars. This is your fault. Every time you're like, they said it would be over in a month or a couple weeks. Well, none of you listened. None of you listened. This is your fault. So shut up and deal with the consequences of your own actions and actually stay inside for a while so we can finally get over this, because all you're doing is making it worse. You people are awful. That XY girl, we live in a society. True. That's the one thing the Joker was right about. We do live in a society.
Prospects, supplies, daily haunts, even the autonomy of movement by government fucking fiat, all while
the autonomy of movement. I want to be able to go and spread disease to other people, and if you don't let me, then I'm gonna be mad. Grow the fuck up.
Same government officials bail out rioters laying waste to our communities, overlooking their disregard for social distancing, all while crowing their intent to disarm us all. There was one non-violent weapon in our arsenal. Our vote. And believe me when I say, they were looking down the barrel of that weapon.
Hold on, let me double check something real quick. It appears, based on a democratic election and the will of the majority of people in the United States, both electorally and based on the popular vote, Joseph Biden is the president-elect, and Donald J. Trump, one-term president who was impeached, he lost. Weird.
Biden campaign officials even let slip days before the election that their internals were decidedly more bleak than the rosy portrait painted by Nate Shilver in the Public Politburo. And
Okay, that doesn't mean they were going to lose. In fact, that would probably put them more in line with what actually happened, which would be a narrow Biden win in many swing states. Tens of thousands of votes, but still, relatively speaking to the millions of votes that were cast, relatively narrow. Not enough to change with a recount, but yeah, seems about right. Enlid, this remake of The Crow sucks. And I don't even think this guy's gonna get Brandon lead.
so they went to work. Look to Ohio. Look to Florida. The two states, incidentally, with the strictest anti-mail-in ballot fraud measures on the books as a result of their struggles in the 2000 and 2004 elections and the resultant avalanche victories for Trump in said battleground states for ready confirmation of the rock slide they were attempting to avoid with this fraud. And before you hit back with, but Ohio is now a red state. Yeah, agreed. As I've said for over a decade, Ohio's been drifting red for some time, but it sure as shit was not drifting +8 fucking red when 15 days before the election, the very same media were selling it to us all as the front line in the battle for the fucking White House, to say nothing about how quickly they counted their ballots, while Pennsylvania takes like 24 hours to count 5.
Again, the legislature made it so Pennsylvania had to wait to count their mail-ins last, and they had a ton of mail-in votes. That's why. That was an intentional sabotage by right-wingers. Maybe know what you're talking about before you turn on your camera and start yelling at the direction of your lens. Towing24, Hannah, why are we watching a terrorist manifesto? You know, sometimes you just gotta slum it, you know? Look at his Rambo poster, too. That's fun.
I guess that's what happens when you have to pause for a printing break on a bi-hourly basis. Look,
Undead Felis with 50 bits. He looks like a cheap Goth-Onision knockoff. Who delayed the mail again? That would be Republicans. Republicans did that.
Last time the twin bellwethers of Ohio and Florida didn't decide the election result was 1960 when JFK
Yeah, we have a very different electoral map nowadays than we did, you know, back in the 60s. As it turns out, there's changing demographics all across the country. Like, we know about this. This isn't new. The electoral map has been changing quite a bit just since 2000, even. This is not evidence of fraud. It's evidence of different voting demographics than there have been historically. And also, people move around the country, I think, more than they did in the past.
Famously defrauded Nixon of the presidency. I won't bore
Wow. Okay, then.
you with all the examples of fraud, with the incoming court case, regardless of the results. And look, as I record this video, the media have crowned their candidate, but,
Again, I'll repeat this in every single video this gets mentioned. The AP has called a projected winner of the presidential election every election since 1849. This is not new, and it is mind-boggling to me as someone who has lived through, you know, multiple presidential elections. And I keep, you know, I do this for a living. I watch the fucking news when we do the elections, even before I was streaming. Every single presidential election, at a certain point, once it becomes statistically clear who the winner is going to be, the media calls a winner. Right-wingers have not cared at all about that, because it's just normal, and it's fine, and it's accurate. They haven't cared until this year, because their man-baby-in-chief, President Trump, threw a temper tantrum that he's still in the middle of. It's never been an issue until now. How these people put their pants on in the morning is fucking beyond me. They're legitimately the most ridiculous, goalpost moving. How do you live with this few principles? How do you live just constantly shifting what you think is right, what you think is wrong, what's okay, what's not, what's fraud, what's right? There's no consistency whatsoever with these people. In 2016, it got called like late election night, and not a single one of them was like, oh, hold on. The media's calling it for Trump already? Let's give it a minute. Because it's not about that. It's not about some hastily, cobbled together result by the media, because that's not the case. They're just lying. They're just lying. They're just lying. And it is the most blatant nonsense I've seen in the last 4 years. And I think we can all agree that's saying a lot. That is saying so much.
The actual electoral engine has...
What do we have for bingo so far? We have degenerate, free space, moving goalposts, rant sona, and racism. Those are what we have.
I'll say this. As a rule, when Pennsylvania's AG takes to the stage to announce, we are done counting ballots for the day because, quote, everyone is tired. Then a buttload of Biden ballots show up on a USPS truck. The same postal service that endorsed Biden, by the by, in the absolute dick sack.
The union endorsed Biden, but the postal service is headed by a right-wing Trump appointee. So again, maybe shut your mouth if you don't know what you're talking about. Otherwise, you sound like an idiot. As it turns out, yelling about everything doesn't mean you know anything. Weird. Dr. Gamble, thank you for subscribing. 5-month streak. Sweet.
Sack of night at 4 a.m. and suddenly everyone's miraculously bright-eyed and bushy-tailed to tally 150,000 more fucking Biden ballots, even though mail-in ballot votes were originally, ostensibly, supposed to be counted fucking first, or...
Yeah. And then right-wing legislatures put the kibosh on that. They said, no, you can't count these until last. Once again, I'll repeat myself. If you don't know what you're talking about, don't make a video. Otherwise, you'll continually expose yourself as an ignorant fool. Cool.
When that same AG haven't already stated they'd counted over 92% of registered votes, only to turn about and say there are nearly 1 million more mail-ins to go, or roughly 12% of registered Pennsylvania voters, making the grand total come out to, 104% fucking turnout, which, by the way...
Yeah, we had the highest turnout in a really long time. It's a good thing. Welcome to a healthy democracy where the will of the people is heard. I hope you enjoy your stay.
Explains the Fox News chyrons that kept glitching and putting 105%. Folks, that ain't a fucking glitch. They all tap into the same vote counting network, which happens to be tallied by computer, meaning even the...
Oh no, computers! Yeah? Yep, they're computers.
The AI crunched the numbers and detected Pennsylvania's election theft bullshit. Or when perennial white guy Joe Biden pulls a higher percentage of the black vote in Detroit than the first black president, Barack Obama.
Yeah, people hate Trump. Again, it astounds me that these right-wing people continue like, how did Joe Biden get so many votes, even more than Obama? Guys, I'm on the left. I'm on the relatively far left for this country. I'm a leftist, right? People hate Trump more than they liked Obama. And a lot of people really liked Obama. But Donald Trump is human excrement made president. Donald Trump is the worst politician in modern American history. People hate that dude. There are Republicans who hate that dude and didn't vote for him. That's your answer. And you might not like that answer because you love Daddy Trump. And oh, how could anyone not like Daddy Trump as much as I do? Get out of your bubble, man. People hate Donald Trump. And the stress he's caused people over the last 4 years is a massive motivating factor to get people out and vote. And by the way, Trump also got more votes than Obama. Trump is the second most voted for president in the history of United States elections. He beat Obama, right? It's just that Joe Biden got even more because more people were motivated to vote this year because this is clearly an incredibly decisive election for the future of our country. It just turned out more people wanted to vote for Biden because they hate Donald Trump. This is not a mystery. It's clear as day if you're not living in your Trumpy bubble. Endlid with 20 bits, population growth is a factor too. Yeah, of course. But even compared to like 4 years ago, like voting is ridiculously up because people are just sick of this shit. And there are also people who love this shit for one reason or another, so they went and voted for Trump, which is why he got, again, the second most votes of a presidential candidate in the history of the country.
Oh, I'm sorry. I know it's a solemn occasion, but I can never get it out without laughing. It's that ridiculous. They have that little respect for your intelligence that they...
Again, Donald Trump also got more than Obama, so your entire point here makes no sense in the context of reality of what's actually happening. You're singling out Joe Biden getting more votes than Obama because you think it makes him look ridiculous without the context of Trump also having that because we had a massive turnout this election. I really wish grifters got called out more. Like, I know I'm doing it now, but, like, this guy's lying, and his audience is eating it up. Look at these ratios. 24,000 positive, 500 negative. And they're all like, yeah, yes, more bullshit, daddy. It's so ridiculous.
They would not only commit voter fraud, but do it in the iPhone generation in front of rolling video cameras while winking and flipping you the fucking bird. Or when 15 minutes after the fraudmobile pulled up to PA at 4 a.m., the same happened in
Again, this is something that every single... This video came out yesterday. This has long since been debunked, but they don't care about being accurate. They care about sowing discord and trying to throw a hand grenade into the confidence Americans have in the electoral process so they can try and steal the election after they've already lost it. The 100,000 thing here, it was a typo. Guys, it was a typo that someone made. It was a clerical error that was immediately solved. They immediately reversed it once someone was like, oh shit, I typoed that real bad, fuck. And then they went back and they fixed it. Clerical errors happen in an election where millions and millions and millions of votes are being tabulated, but they get fixed. All the examples Trump people have, and this is wild to me again, when we're just talking about, like, how desperate they are to come up with some sort of evidence of fraud, of course of which there is none. They're using examples of clerical errors being caught and fixed as an example that that's not happening. Like, oh, look, here's a clerical error that got fixed almost immediately. Okay? Yeah, that happens in every single election. And your evidence of there being fraud is someone catching a clerical error. It doesn't even make sense. These people are delusional.
In unison in Wisconsin and Michigan, the fucking trifecta of fraud allegations in this election. Yeah, gang, you might have a fucking issue here. But this ain't a rant about the fraud, believe it or not. It's not even really a rant at all. It's a supplication.
Oh, it's a rant. This is a huge rant. And this rant is a cope. It's a beautiful cope, by the way. You did it in black and white. Very tasteful. I like the black and white. I don't know what other stupid filter you put on this, though. Looks bad. You shouldn't have put this other filter. Black and white would have been enough.
To anyone at all.
Also, the fact that this dude dresses, I don't know, almost like a goth punk kind of frustrates me. Like, you don't get to be punk and also vote for a fascist. Like, those things are, no. Punks are not fascist. That's like the opposite. Have you not heard Nazi punks fuck off? Jesus Christ. Poet Lover 072 with 100 bits. No, Hannah. You're a sheep. Voter fraud. He dresses like he listened to grunge in 93. Yeah.
All with sanity, a society already on the brink, disabused of dignity and agency, whose final weapon was the vote. Having that vote abrogated outright, do you have any idea what this sad, doomed attempt to retain the levers of power could cost us all? I think Styx put it best when he said no.
If you find yourself quoting Sticks and Hammer 666, who is a Nazi, maybe reconsider everything you've ever done, delete your YouTube channel, go unplug from media for about a year, just recalibrate, right? Seems like he's due for one.
No matter which horse you back here, no matter which way it shakes out, at least half of the country will declare a sitting president illegitimate. Not in a cutesy mainstream media. Less than 15% of the country actually believe it, while the rest roll their eyes and move the fuck on with their lives, Marussia kind of way. But in a real...
You mean the Russia investigation, which actually led to over a dozen indictments and was backed by our intelligence communities? Okay. Weird call out, but whatever.
Holy shit, this guy just stole my vote and then laughed in my face about it. And oh, hey, my local congressman, my county...
about the tools of capitalism.
Undead Felis, he dresses like a dad who listened to Kiss back in the day and thinks he's super hardcore.
Quarter and fucking mailman went ahead and helped them do it, sort of way. The kind that can't end any way but bad. And get used to the...
I hate people like this. The whole... I'm going to talk really fast in a sing-songy way. Sometimes I'm going to speed up what I say, and sometimes I'm going to slow it down to emphasize my words. That way you can never actually think about what I'm saying long enough to actually fact-check anything that I'm saying. Let me just talk about a little bit the stuff that's going on in the country. And if you go ahead and listen to what I have to say and I talk fast enough that you can actually fact-check me, then definitely you're going to assume that because I'm able to talk fast and make sure that you're listening to what I have to say, then you're going to assume that I'm charismatic. And not only am I charismatic, that I actually know what I'm talking about, even though all the things that I'm saying are actually completely false. This guy and Ben Shapiro. People like this are the worst, and I hate them so much. It's not even a hard skill. If you're able to talk, you can talk like this, but it's not an effective way to get accurate information across to people. It's just a way to try and gish gallop people and ram your thoughts into their brain without giving them a second to actually think about what the substance of your message is. It's not good.
The phrase baseless voter fraud allegations, by the way. It always takes the DNC a few days to find a sufficient counter smear, and it looks like they finally settled on one. But anyone with eyes just ain't buying it. You can opine to your heart's content as to what really went on here to expose the fraud on such a nationwide level. Some are currently speculating the original plan was to throw it to the Supreme Court, but Ginsburg's death threw a spanner in the works, which is why, after pushing for mail-in ballots for, half a fucking year, Nancy Pelosi suddenly did an about-face and started trash-talking them around late September. Personally, I think inexpertise at fixing
all the Republicans thinking that anything about this election is going to the Supreme Court. Guys, to get to the Supreme Court, you gotta get stuff through lower courts first. All of Donald Trump's lawsuits are getting thrown out right now. You have to have evidence and standing in order to have any foothold in the courts. So far, he doesn't.
National elections may have played a role, given that it's so much easier, cheaper, and sadly legal to fix a...
Gotta watch Kenneth Copeland's reaction to Biden win. Okay, let me look at...
The media...
Oh, I've seen that. Yeah, we can watch that in a little bit.
Primary instead. Ask Bernie. Ask him twice, in fact. Speculate away. That's about all you can actually do in our opaque political system. As for what happens...
Look, guys, I wish Bernie won too, but he did lose. And we can talk all we want about, media bias and you know, the DNC not treating him well, but I don't believe there's any evidence that Bernie actually had, votes stolen from him in the literal sense, the same way that, you know, Republicans are going on about now. No, not the case. There's no evidence that actual votes were changed at all. That's a conspiracy theory, just like the Trump people are saying right now about Donald Trump.
Next, I could fill 15 videos with just that, and who knows, maybe I'll fucking have to. Trump has been reelected. Not is going.
The DNC just put more money towards Biden, yeah. And you can talk about that. You can talk about, bias in the DNC itself and who they are sort of backing as their preferred candidate. But that's a completely different conversation than claiming actual, voter fraud, where, ballots are being destroyed or extra ballots are being produced, day and night. different conversations.
Going to be has. I broke it down a little on my recent Lord of the Rings stream, but Pennsylvania mail-in ballots received after Election Day have already, per court order, been set aside not for recount, but for a formal fucking audit.
Here's the thing, though. It doesn't even matter. Those votes are not in the vote total that we currently have for, like, Pennsylvania. Biden wins without those. Would those make his numbers bigger? Sure. But they're unnecessary. It's not even that many ballots, guys. I think it's like... God, let me look. I know I had a number at one point, but we gotta double check. Pennsylvania ballots set aside. Let me see if there's a number in this article. Pennsylvania court orders some provisional election ballots set aside. Pennsylvania court on Friday ordered election officials to set aside provisional ballots cast on Election Day by voters whose absentee or mail-in votes were received on time. These provisional ballots would be separated until officials could determine if they were validly cast, according to an order by the Commonwealth Court in a lawsuit brought by Republican candidates. As ballots were still being counted on Friday, 3 days after polls closed, Democratic challenger Joe Biden took a narrow lead over Republican President Donald Trump in Pennsylvania. If the lead holds, it would give Biden the presidency. The Republicans were challenging guidance issued, blah, 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 blah. Do they have a number? No, don't have a number of the provisional ballots. It wasn't very many, though. Like, these are all articles from 5 days ago. I don't have a more recent one. But, like, it's not enough for Donald Trump to make up, you know, there's nothing to be, Biden's already ahead. It just would be not counting those ballots if they got thrown out for some reason. It's not going to make a difference. In fact, I think Trump would probably be better off allowing those ballots, because then theoretically some of them might at least be for him. It doesn't really matter. Towing 24 with 20 bets. Anyone pushing this Biden DNC trash is either a Russian troll or a useful idiot or mindlessly regurgitating the propaganda from Russian trolls. Yeah.
Meaning each individual ballot, including the ones filled out in early September by fucking dead guys, will have to be individually...
This is two things that he's talking about. First of all, you can... And the law is going to depend upon the state, but if you fill out like an early ballot and put it in, and then you die between the time that you put it in and the time of the election, some states let that vote be counted if you're dead on election day. Some won't. Depends on the state. So that can happen. I'm not sure the law in Pennsylvania. Secondly, hello, Lupine. You want to come up in the window? Secondly, when there's claims of, like, mass dead people voting, basically what's happening, and I've talked about this on stream before, is... Let's say you're John Smith and you live in Detroit, Michigan, and you're 23 years old. You cast your ballot. It gets put into the computer. The computer confuses you with a different John Smith who lived in Detroit but hasn't been removed from the voter rolls yet. That man, if he was still alive, would be 104 years old or something. That doesn't mean that there was an illegal vote. It means the computer accidentally categorized you under the wrong John Smith. So when Republicans are pointing out, like, oh, look at this 126-year-old who voted, what they're really doing is pointing out that a computer organized someone's ballot under someone else of the same name. It's not indicative of illegal voting. It's indicative of a badly produced computer system that organizes people's information. It's not an illegal vote. Anyway.
Assessed for signature and chain of custody and discarded or accepted thereby. And incidentally, I'd argue they should audit the rest as fucking well. Absentee ballot fraud usually comes in two big bursts. An individual wave based on internal polling data, and if the election day vote comes in strong for the Republican, as it absolutely did for Trump.
Again, we all knew this was going to happen due to the mail-in votes. There's no evidence of fraud. It went exactly as we expected based upon the numbers that were coming in for who was filling out mail-in votes versus who was doing in-person voting.
Here, a final fuck-off wave of bullshit ballots to put the Democrat on top and conveniently outside the margin of a mandatory recount. And look, even if that falls through, it goes to the conservative majority Supreme Court at that time.
Again, in order to go to the Supreme Court, you need to have rulings in lower courts. And so far, Trump's legal stuff has all been thrown out for lack of evidence.
And even if that falls through, it goes to the House. No, not the Democrat majority Nancy Pelosi House.
No, it only goes to the House if there's an electoral tie, which there isn't. These people are even getting this shit wrong. Like, I don't know who they're parroting this, like, fake information from, but no, it doesn't. That only happens if there's an electoral tie. If there's no electoral result, like votes don't get certified, then Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, becomes the president. At least until such a time as the votes can become certified and the actual president, Joe Biden, gets elected. Like, I don't know who they're getting this information from, but they are wrong, and they're parroting false information about how this works.
The overwhelmingly Republican majority state House delegation, and that's if we hit the December 14th deadline. Still biting down on that black pill? Put it this way. At the exact same time, the media, not the official organ of election law, was crowning their own president effectively as...
Again, every election since 1849, the media has, based on statistical analysis of the votes that are already in, had a prospective winner of the presidency. This isn't new. The same thing happened to Trump in 2016 when it was clear he was going to win, but no one bitched about it then. Mitchell Drummer, 20 bits. That's red black pill. Yes, it is. If you have that on your bingo card, get it. Do I have that? Yep. Cool.
Scott Adams predicted they would, by the way. Do you know what Trump was doing? Golf. Gang, he warned you about this. Just like I did. He knows.
No, he's a lazy fuck who likes to golf on the taxpayer dime at his own clubs. It's not Trump, like, is fine, and he just didn't... Trump's just lazy. The idea, and I've seen this parroted elsewhere too, where they're like, look, President Trump was golfing when the results came in. See, he's not worried. Guys, he's not worried because he's a narcissist. Like, that's why he wasn't worried. And he was also probably golfing to get his mind off shit. And all of a sudden, everyone's like, oh my god, he was golfing. He must know something we don't. He doesn't. He doesn't. In fact, he's Donald Trump, so he knows a lot less than everyone else around him all the time.
This is not about ushering in Biden's first term. It's about undermining the legitimacy of Trump's second. Look, a lot can happen.
You can't undermine the legitimacy of a thing that's not going to happen. So...
In 2 months, especially in this election cycle, something could certainly emerge that prevents him from being victorious. But anyway,
there's nothing funny about
uh-oh, let me see if there's something emerging that would make sure Trump isn't victorious. Oh, Joe Biden won more votes, both electorally and by popular vote? Uh-oh. Looks like Joe Biden won the election. Bad news, folks. MST3K Fan 77 with a 6-month streak. 70 more days. 70 more days, everyone, then it's back to the normal level of shitty. Yeah.
Shakes out, the days of McCain, the days of Romney are well the fuck in the rearview mirror here, and this motherfucker is actually gonna fucking fight. Are you gonna run from the ramparts now that a second victory means you also get to expose the fuckers who pulled this fraud and stole your vote?
No one stole your vote. Stop inflaming nonsense. You're full of shit.
Call it cope all you like, but fucking please, Jesus, find a new fucking word. You people ran that copium shit in the ground so...
Hold on. Linky RD, Hannah, I think he's talking about if Trump doesn't concede, then the decision goes to the House of Representatives. Each state only gets one vote. Vosh was talking about this last night. That's bullshit. The president doesn't have to concede. Anyone who says that is an idiot, including Vosh, if that's the bullshit he was slinging. No. The president in no way, shape, or form has to concede. That's not part of the Constitution. It's never been a part of election law. It's something nice that the presidents do because peaceful transition of power is something that we pride ourselves on in this country. It doesn't matter if Trump has to be dragged out in January by military police. The president conceding is never and has never been a legal requirement for the transition of power.
So fast Biden banned it for fracking. Herb, derb, copium, fucking snowflakes. See.
Yeah, that's also a good impression of us. Good job.
404 error, wit and originality not found. I get that half the turds on Twitter are actually hired share blue shills paid to trigger a public opinion preference cascade, but like...
Oh, the irony. The irony.
Could you get more than one staff writer?
I'm not necessarily trying to throw shade at Vosh. I'm saying if that's what Vosh said, it would be a stupid thing to say. Someone else said that's not what he was saying, so whatever.
For your fucking dialogue here, I've seen fresher material on season 32 of the fucking Simpsons. Yes, Boomer, they're up to 32 now. We'll all be dead soon anyway.
Ooh, a Simpsons is bad joke. And other hot takes from 2003. Pretty word salady. Oh, this whole thing's word salad. Sure, if you have word salad on do we have word salad on this board, or is that just on the Tinfoil Tuesday board? I just certainly don't have it. So.
I'm Razor Fist. God fucking speed.
The copium thing got under his skin. Oh, it's getting under all their skins, which is why no matter how many times they try and turn it around and make fun of it, never stop telling them they're coping, because that's exactly what they're doing, and it bothers them, and it's fun. Oh boy, this guy's embarrassing. Oh, he's got an addendum at the end.
It was these early ballots that reversed the 2018 Senate election result and handed Arizona its first Democratic senator in decades. And if they get their way in 2020, Chairman Mark Kelly plans to do the same with the second seat. Hell, a major Democratic polling firm is already setting the table for a national macrocosm of the microcosmic Arizona Senate election idiocy of 2018, cautioning that Trump may receive a, quote, landslide victory in 2020 that will promptly be fucking reversed by magical mail-in ballots.
They're not magic. They're mail-in ballots that were mostly filled out by Democrats because Democrats take the coronavirus seriously, and right-wingers were told all year by President Trump not to do mail-in ballots and that the coronavirus was a hoax. It's not magic. It's just A to B to C. Linear time. How does that work? What, kitty? Come on. Come on. Hello. Meow. Meow, meow.
They're already priming the pump, folks. I said at the time, and I've warned habitually since, tiny flyover state or fucking not, the Arizona Senate election in 2018 was the dress rehearsal for the DNC's national strategy in 2020.
Wait for it.
Fuck you! I was right! Fuck you! I was right! Fuck you! I was right!
Wow, that's embarrassing.
Allowed.
Holy shit, this guy's whole rant-sona is so fucking cringe. Subscribe. I'm sure we'll be seeing more of this dude in the future. Jesus.